Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Go check out my website at skysworld.com for life coaching and mentoring. It's bright and early, daily discipline, mind, body, and soul. This is how we get through Monday. Hope you guys are ready for a good week. I'm going to try to have a stress-free week. We'll see how that works out. Here's a question for you. What would you prefer? Now, this may seem like a dumb question. It may seem like the answer is obvious, but we'll dive into it and see if it really is that obvious. What would you prefer? To live in a dictatorship, a monarchy, or in a democracy? What do you want? Do you want a king, or do you want to be part of the system where your voice matters and you feel like that your vote counts? You don't get to vote for a king. You don't get to vote for a god. Was it possible to vote Zeus out of office? Greece was a democracy. Ancient Greece was a democracy. Right? The first democracy. We're modeled after it. You go to Washington, D.C., most of the buildings look like ancient Greek buildings. That's all done on purpose. But if ancient Greek was a democracy, why didn't they get to vote who their gods were? You get to vote for your president, get to vote for your leader, your politicians, your governors, all these types of things. You get your little freedom of speech. You can pound your fist on the podium and say, I don't agree. I don't believe that. And you guys argue it out up in the parliament and the Congress, right? This is what they're doing. And then each one of them had this deep-seated belief privately. In public, they're democratic. In private, when they go home, they enter into this monarchical, dictatorial relationship with the universe. You don't get to vote who your gods are. You don't get to say, well, you know, God, this really isn't working out. You haven't really produced what I thought you'd produce. So we're going to try someone else. We're going to vote on someone else now. So, you know, get your stuff and move out of heaven and wherever you live. And we're going to hire someone else for the job. That's impossible. Could you do that? I don't think we could do that. So religion, your faith, is a monarchy, and you willingly get into that relationship. You willingly worship a king that is your superior, that can, with a thought, turn you to dust. You cower in front of him. There's a belief that you can't even look at God. You can't speak God's name. You have to be afraid of God. Fear God. Fear this King of Kings, this Lord of Lords, this ultimate tyrant in the universe. You have to fear him. You Christians, oh, you really fear your God. And you promote that. Go listen to any evangelical preacher, and they'll threaten you. You better be scared of God. It's weird, but then you guys want democracy. You want to be self-governing. Isn't that what democracy is? So make the choice. I don't understand the division sometimes. This is where the relationship with God and the idea of religion being a monarchy, it kind of falls apart for me. And I do enjoy Taoism and Buddhism for this reason, is that it's not a monarchical religion. You don't worship some creature as your master. You don't prostrate yourself on the ground towards some being, some other person. We're made in the image of God, so if God were to come down here, he'd look like a person, and you'd be like, oh. It's so weird. But then you want to vote your president out, get rid of Joe Biden, get rid of Donald Trump, get rid of whoever. Where's the division? Alan Watts talked about this back in the 60s. This is not a new conversation that I'm just somehow confused with. Oh, Sky, where did you come up with this crap? This has been asked by philosophers for more than my whole life, for longer than I've been alive. Why do we worship a monarchical God and then think that a self-governing form of rule, a democracy, is somehow better? Why don't we have democracy all the way up the hierarchy? Why do we stop it? Why do we say, okay, on earth, during our daily chores, of course we're going to vote in our leaders. As soon as we're sick of them or they don't do what we want, we'll get rid of them. This is what we do every 4 years. Sometimes they want to impeach, what did they impeach Donald Trump 5 times or whatever? They couldn't even last a year. Within the first year, they're trying to impeach him. Do you get to impeach your God? So I don't know why we have this weird split in us, where part of us wants to be a child in the eyes of God. God is the Almighty Father. But then you same people that bow down to God as the Father, as your Father, as if you're a little child in the eyes of the Father, begging for favors. Please help me, Daddy, please, please, Daddy, help me. But then you walk around like that you're the king of your castle, like you're the boss, like you're some kind of tough guy, like you have some sort of self-governing freedom. Which is it, man? How do you make that transition from boss to bitch? You make yourself a bitch in the eyes of a higher power, don't you? This is so offensive to some of you, but it's just a question. It's a question that's been asked for more than 50 years. Nobody's come up with an answer yet. Why do you clutch so heavily to democracy and then clutch so heavily to monarchy at the same time? It's weird, man. It's just weird. Food for thought.